And now, for fans of the most exciting sport in the world, the MMA Live Chat Hour. Listen up and find out what's happening in the world of MMA. Hello and welcome to the MMA Live Chat Hour. I'm Rich Davie and it's Sunday, February 16th, 2014, the day after the UFC Fight Night 36 Machida vs. Mousasi event. On today's show, we'll be speaking about the event, the predictions we made for the event from the last show, and if we have time, we'll talk about a couple of other MMA-related topics as well in the Final Thoughts segment. On today's show, we have yours truly, Wes, and Damon. Thanks for taking part in another show, guys. I appreciate you all taking the time to be here and joining me to discuss the UFC Fight Night 36 Machida vs. Mousasi main card and the predictions that we gave on the last show. Go ahead and say hello to anybody that might be listening.
How's everybody doing?
How's it going, guys? How's it going, viewers?
Okay, guys, thanks again for being here. This was round 4 of the Season 2 predictions that we've been doing. We'll recap how the crew is doing after 4 rounds of our fight predictions in a minute. But first, here's how we score the results of our predictions. Recapping the scoring system. If you pick the correct fighter but don't get the correct method or round, you earn 4 points. If you pick the correct fighter and method or the correct fighter and round, you earn 7 points. If you pick the correct fighter, round, and method or correctly call the winner by decision, you earn 10 points. Here's how the guys did on the last show with the predictions that we gave. Jacob went 5-0 with his picks. Wes, Alex, Damon, David, and Rich went 4-1 with their picks. And Murat went 3-2 with his picks. And here's how we placed in round 4. In first place, we have a tie. Wes and Alex went 4-1 with 31 points out of 50. In third, we have a tie as well. Damon, Rich, and David went 4-1 with 28 points out of 50. In sixth place, we have Jacob. He went 5-0 with 26 points out of 50. And in seventh place, we have Murat, who went 3-2 with 24 points out of 50. All right, and this is how things look after 4 rounds of predictions for the season. In first place, Damon is now 17-8 with 119 points out of 250. Second place, Rich is now 18-7 with 117 points out of 250. In third place, David is now 16-9 with 110 points out of 250. In fourth place, Wes is now 16-9 with 106 points out of 250. In fifth place, Alex is now 10-8 with 76 points out of 180. In sixth place, Jacob is now 5-0 with 26 points out of 50. And in seventh place, we have Murat. He is 3-2 with 24 points out of 50. Okay, guys, let's get started on the main event here. UFC Fight Night 36, Machida vs. Mousasi. It looks like the fighters on the card last night didn't get the memo on the new UFC incentives and bonuses because that's 2 UFC events back-to-back with 10 decisions. What did you guys think about the event overall?
I mean, it wasn't like, obviously there were 10 decisions on the card, but, it wasn't like the last one. There were some pretty exciting fights, I thought, Obviously a fight like Souza and Carmont was generally one-sided, but it wasn't like Carmont was completely out of that fight at any given time, I think
he actually did better than I thought he would.
Yeah, it's pretty competitive. I thought most of the fights were pretty exciting.
Yeah, I actually missed the main card, but I did catch the Fight Pass, and every single one was a decision. It was pretty boring.
Yeah, I read a lot of the play-by-play in the prelims. I missed the prelims, but I read a lot. They were pretty boring.
Yeah, everybody was bitching and complaining about the card overall. especially the prelims. Nobody was really happy with the prelims.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have a hard time selling 170 after two straight events with 10 decisions. That's just amazing.
It wasn't exactly like a sell yourself event to begin with, as we were talking about before.
Yeah.
Yeah, you figure with the new incentive that they had there, that the guys might have fought a little bit better, being that the last event was also 10 decisions as well. And I think that was, one of the reasons also that DFW pushed to go with this new incentive bonus that they have for the cards.
I think it's a good incentive plan, but I don't, I think there's so many fights, and if you're not on the main card, I think a lot of the guys on the undercards are like, well, looking at statistically the number of bonuses given to the undercards probably is a lot less than what you see on the main card.
That, and also, at the end of the day, these guys are out there to win, right? They're not out there just to go get bonuses, even if they get knocked out or if they lose. They don't want to lose. They definitely don't want to get knocked out. They want to win. They want to get the best paycheck that they can, and they want to get invited back to the show, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, performance bonuses are always nice, but the win is what they're, the win is how they make their money. That's how they make their living.
Yeah, that's going to be the documented legacy of their career.
Yeah, and and bottom line is you can't always finish a fighter, right? Is it strange that we've had 2 events in a row with 10 decisions? Yeah, absolutely, but you're not always going to knock the guy out or submit him every time out, right? This is the UFC. You're fighting at the highest level.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how many of those fights are guys that are relatively new too?
Yeah.
Especially this event.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go into the main event there. Lyoto Machida versus Gegard Mousasi. Comments on that one, fellas?
It's a pretty exciting fight.
I wish I saw it. But
I wish I saw like rounds 2 and 3, but we won't get into that.
Machida, I love Machida, but man, he cannot be going to decisions. Not if he's going to make that push for the middleweight belt.
I think you're right, Damon, but at the same time, it is kind of unfair for like Dana White and the UFC brass to look at him and say that, right? Because, as I said, you're fighting a guy in Gegard Mousasi who, he doesn't get knocked out, he doesn't get submitted.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
It's not like a lot of these guys that Machida's fighting is like, if he doesn't finish a guy, it's like, well, who has finished that guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, but I see Machida's style. It's cost him a couple decisions, and I love Machida, and I actually think they need to change the rules a little bit to make up for actual disciplines that people use. If you're a karate fighter and you counter, I think they need to be taken into effect that the styles, because the styles make the fights. Just because
Absolutely.
one guy's not aggressive and is more of a counter doesn't mean that he's not fighting. But
it also brings into account what aggression really means, what effective aggression really means, right? So Machida's moving backwards a lot of the time, but he's making guys miss and he's landing punches. So I mean,
exactly,
it's effective aggression. Even if you're not moving forward, it's effective aggression, right? I mean,
yeah.
Whether or not you're moving forward or left to right, you're punching a guy in the face.
Exactly.
And he's missing you.
I don't know, guys. I know Damon didn't see the fight, but the way that I looked at it, man, I thought the first 2 rounds were extremely, cautious by both men and very measured, and it seemed like neither one really wanted to pull the trigger, and they were just feeling each other out for 2 rounds or more. So.
Yeah, but you got to remember, in a 5-round fight, they're going to do that. They're going to test each other more than they would in a 3-round fight.
Yeah, definitely. You're looking at a guy, Mousasi, who's fighting Machida, who, for a long time, Machida was the enigma. Remember that? Like, the Machida era. People thought he was invincible until he went out against Shogun. People literally thought he was never going to lose because no one could figure out how to hit him. You put a guy like Mousasi up against Machida, and that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a guy who measures him up, who's going to try to get his timing and his distance. Because he's just, you can't just run in against Machida. That's like a death sentence.
Yeah.
Do you recall how you scored that one, Wes?
I want to say I was like 49, 46.
Yeah, I scored it round 1 Machida, Round 2, Machida. Round 3, Machida. Round 4,
I think I gave, yeah,
Mousasi. And
I'm pretty
round
sure I
5,
gave like
Machida.
round 4 for Mousasi?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. I think I would have given him round 2 or 3. I thought by the end of the fight, Machida was in pretty clear command, but maybe I'll watch it again and it'll change my mind.
Yeah, I checked a couple other sites too, and a couple other sites were pretty much in agreement with the way I scored it as well. Um,
Well, we can agree at least that Machida clearly won most of the rounds, the vast majority of the rounds.
oh yeah, yeah,
A couple websites called it 50-45, which I thought was a little bit, which I thought maybe not quite accurate, but at the end of the day, Machida got his hand raised, and I have no quarrel with that.
oh yeah. Not only that, I believe the judges' scorecards were 49, 46, 50, 45, and 50, 45. I was like, come on, man, how could you score the fight like that?
Yeah, well, I actually have more issue with the way the next fight was scored, but we can get to that when we get to that.
Yeah, yeah. But again, when I was looking at the fight there, I made notes for the show today, and in the fourth round. That one probably should have been called even because Mousasi got a bit of a break there because he threw an illegal up kick, not once but twice. He only caught Machida one time, but they stopped the action for a moment or two there, and they didn't deduct a point. So
they didn't deduct a point, which is ludicrous. If you do it twice, if you hit a guy even once, I don't know. I tend to lean towards taking a point away. I don't know.
Yeah, man, that was a solid shot. It was right on Machida's face.
Yeah, that's a point deduction in my book. I mean, there's certain infractions where it's like, okay, you can get a warning or two before you do that, but something like excessive groin shots, kicking a guy in the face when with an illegal up kick, those are point deductions.
Yeah, I had seen on Twitter where some people were talking about, they're kind of giving Machida crap for playing the game, and you know what? That's the whole point, isn't it? Is to play the game. If you're in a position to where you can get really hurt, put your knee down.
Yeah.
They were saying that he dropped his knee and in time, and that's why the one was an illegal kick or some.
No, I think he was already on his knees.
He was on his knee. The second time he was on his knee already.
Yeah.
But
the first one,
Damon.
the first one that missed, I think he was on his way down to his knees, but that was.
Yeah.
I think if that would have hit, it probably would have been, 2 illegal up strikes in a row. But the second one was clearly illegal.
Do you guys remember a few years back when Gegard Mousasi knocked Jacare Souza out cold with an up kick?
I do not remember.
No.
He knocked him out cold, literally cold. Jacare Souza was unconscious on top of Mousasi after an up kick. So, Mousasi is the kind of guy who can and will use those vicious up kicks against you to lethal effect.
Yeah. Yeah, and I saw, like Damon said before, I saw a lot of people on, the internet, Facebook, Twitter, and everything. They were all complaining about, how the fight went, and does Machida really deserve a shot at the title with that sort of a performance? A lot of people weren't happy with it.
We've seen guys get title shots for worse than that.
Yeah, a lot.
And you're talking about Gegard Mousasi.
Yeah. Plus, a lot of people don't like Machida's style, anyways, to begin with. And you know what? Just because you don't like a guy's style doesn't mean that he's not a great fighter, and can be very effective. But in MMA, some people don't like guys moving backwards. I mean, Carlos Condit got a lot of flack for the way him and Nick Diaz fought. But
oh my God, do you remember the reaction to that fight? That was ridiculous.
Yeah. But you can't win a fight by just walking forward and taunting. You have to actually do something.
Exactly.
Which is Nick Diaz.
Yeah. I mean, you got to look at all disciplines. It is mixed martial arts, and I wish the scoring would and the way they judge fights would actually reflect that more.
I think the thing with Machida is a lot of people probably still have a bone to pick with him because of the 2 fights that he had with Shogun. A lot of people were pissed that he won that first fight. And
that was one of the worst decisions I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that one too. I don't remember many, but that one I do remember. And yeah, Machida got lucky in that one, but I think a lot of people still hold that against him.
Well, that's not something. I think you're right. I do think you're right, but yeah, it's really not something you hold against a fighter. That's the judges, you know. But I think that this fight with Mousasi actually, I think it brings to a head a lot of the issues that we talk about a lot in MMA these days. Obviously, whether or not you should have deducted a point for the up kick, Whether or not you get a title shot off of what might be a lackluster performance, although I think it was a pretty strong performance. Again, you're not going to knock a guy out every single time you go out there.
Murat and I all thought it was going to go to a decision, so we were pretty much expecting the fight to go that way.
Yeah, but it's just anyway. A decision is not a reason to not give a guy a title shot. That's crazy.
Yeah, according to the comments I've seen post-fight, that's not going to impact anything.
I don't think so. And also the 3 points of contact rule. Whether or not that needs to be reworded or something like that.
Well, they keep talking about they're going to get rid of that altogether. They're even talking about putting knees back, knee strikes on the ground back. So
that's been in discussion for years. I'm not sure they're going to bring that back. Maybe a certain. So let me. Do you guys remember the Michael Bisping Jorge Rivera fight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys really think that was really dangerous? What Michael Bisping did to Jorge Rivera? Do you really think that getting knee in the head in that position is any worse than getting knee in the head when you're on your feet? I don't think so at all.
No, I don't think so either, and that's why I think they should.
I think when you're stationary like that, yeah, it can do more damage than when like if you get hit with a flying knee, at least you can go back. You can go back more. You're not going to take as much.
Yeah, but if you're in the tie clinch on your feet, it's basically the same exact strike.
Yeah, you're not going anywhere if you're in a tie clinch.
Yeah, it's basically the same exact strike. So I personally think that the people, I thought they were hypocrites because, I don't know you guys, but I was a huge Pride fan, and I used to love watching guys get kneed on the head of the ground. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite and call out Michael Bisping for it, even though it was against the rules. And two, I just don't see it as I don't see it as any more dangerous than a knee strike to the head of a guy who's on his feet. So it seems like the rule at the very least needs to be rephrased to get rid of situations like that. And get rid of guys putting their hands down, dropping their knees to quote-unquote play the game.
Yeah, they've got a rule now where they've modified the rule where the ref can actually make the call on it. Was he doing that to avoid taking a shot or?
Which we saw.
It can't be like that. It's got to be definitive. It's got to be this is the way that it is.
Yeah, we saw that in the fight that Herb Dean ref between Czech Congo and I believe it was Paul Buentella when he literally said, "No, you were playing the game. That's not his fault. He didn't. You put your hand down. There's no way he could have seen you put your hand down."
Yeah.
So I'm not taking the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the points need to be deducted or not deducted based on that. But it is playing the game. The rules are the rules. The fighters know the rules.
There's always going to be a certain degree of playing the game when there's rules.
Okay, guys, let's move on. Let me recap here how we all did on our picks. Wes went with Machida by decision. He got 10 points. Damon went with Machida by TKO on 3, 4 points. David went with Machida by TKO on 2, 4 points. Jacob went with Machida by TKO on 4 points. Murat went with Machida by decision, 10 points. Alex went with Machida by decision, 10 points. Rich went with Machida by decision, 10 points. So we all did pick Machida to win that one, and it looks like the majority of us thought it was going to go to a decision. Okay, let's move on to the second fight. The co-main event on the evening was Francis Clermont versus Jacare Souza. Francis Clermont did better than I expected him to do in this one, and Jacare didn't quite deliver as much as I thought he would. But what did you guys think of that one?
I thought Jacare looked good. I would like to have seen the submission for obvious reasons. But yeah, Clermont, he almost got the submission right in the first round. But Clermont's defense against that choke was pretty solid. I don't see how you call this a 29-28 victory for Souza. I had a 30-27. I thought that was pretty clear cut. What did you think, Damon?
Like I said, I didn't really see it, but from what I've heard,
right. Pardon me.
From what I've heard, he looked pretty sloppy in the second, and I think Clermont, from what I've heard, probably took that round, and that's the one the judges gave him. He was doing, from what I understand, what I was hoping he was doing. He's trying to stay on the outside and keep it standing. But I hear he spent a lot of his time actually with Souza on his back.
Yeah, I actually kept the scores there. I have round 1 10-9 Jacare, round 2 10-9 Clermont, and round 3 10-9 Jacare. The judges scored it a unanimous decision, 29-28, 29-28, and 30-27. So, yeah, I guess it could have gone either way. I guess it was a fairly close round, but I thought that Carmont did win round two.
Well, at the end of the day, I think we can all agree Souza clearly won the fight. I just thought that Carmont in the second round, I mean, it just looked like he was more almost like he was one defending what Souza was throwing and like taunting Souza just to make it look like he was winning. I didn't really see anything Carmont was doing to really progress his own offense.
In the second round, he stood up and started fighting from the outside when he realized that that was probably better for him because of the reach advantage that he had.
Yeah.
But,
he wasn't really able to capitalize on that reach advantage at all, though.
Yeah, but he was outpointing him. I made the comment during the live chat. He was outpointing him. He was getting 2 strikes to 1 in.
It seemed like
what the final numbers were on that.
Didn't really seem like he was doing that consistently, but
Yeah, not consistently. But I thought he did enough to take the round. It was close, but I gave the round to him. I didn't look at the fight metric numbers or anything, but
neither did I.
Okay, any more comments on that one?
Who would you guys like to see Souza fight next? I mean, he's got to be close to the title picture, obviously.
Yeah, wasn't there some comments post-fight where DFW said he might be moving up and fighting or contending for a title shot because he was ranked number 3 in that fight, right?
Yeah, I mean, what do you think they give him Machida the title shot and then Souza right after him?
I think so.
I wouldn't have them fight each other. That'd be silly because that's just wasting one contender for the title.
Yeah, because Souza was ranked number 3 and Carmont was ranked number 8. So does that really, help Jacare move up in the rankings when you're fighting a number 8 guy and you beat him?
Not really, but
they were saying something about the outcome of the fight would actually determine who's going to fight for the title. So I don't know. Maybe if Belfort wins, maybe Machida will get it or Souza. But from what I was reading, it depends on the outcome of the title fight as to who's going to get it. So I'm not sure what that's about, but
that seems a little strange to me.
Yeah, that does seem odd because no matter who the winner is between Belfort and Weidman,
you need a guy to step up and fight the winner.
Yeah.
But the UFC, they put together some title fights that make absolutely no sense, like Chael Sonnen versus John Jones. It's a perfect example. I mean, what in the hell did Chael Sonnen do to even deserve that?
All right, well, let's get back on track. Any more comments about Carmont versus Jacare?
Well, I guess the only thing would be, who do you think Souza would fight next if he does not get a title shot, right? Because, he can't just be sitting on the shelf forever, you wouldn't think.
Who is ranked number 2 right now?
Probably Anderson Silva, and he's not coming back anytime soon. When you got Michael Bisping up there.
Silva is ranked number 1 still, according to the UFC rankings.
I don't really follow. The UFC rankings are loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who isn't booked? Doesn't Bisping have a fight booked for?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
That's one of the things is some of these guys that he should fight have already got fights booked. So well, maybe if Bisping wins his fight, since I think it's what he's going to be fighting on the UK card next month.
Big surprise.
Isn't he? I believe he is. So maybe Bisping.
They've got Belfort ranked number 2. That makes sense. You got Luke Rockhold up there as well. But yeah, other than that, there's a lot. The middleweight division is as stacked as it's ever been that I can remember. But there's also just a lot of guys that have already lost to a lot of these guys at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe Jacare is just in one of those limbo situations. That all sucks. But then again, they do have Jacare ranked above Machida at this point in time.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Where's Machida ranked?
It's number 4.
Huh.
So why not give him Mousasi?
Souza? I wouldn't do that. The UFC usually likes to rank. They like to match up winners against winners and losers against losers for the most part. I think. I don't know. At this point in time, I guess you just got to give him maybe that's a tough call.
It is.
Yeah, not an admirable, desirable situation to be in. So I don't know. Maybe they will have them fight each other, but I think that would be silly. But making the best of a. You know what they could do? They could do a rematch between Souza and Luke Rockhold. Rockhold does hold a win over Souza. He took his Strikeforce title.
Yeah, I thought I saw some talk about that last night too.
That would be about as good a fight as you can make at this point in time, given the situation, if you ask me.
That would be a good match.
I didn't watch the post-fight presser. Did either one of you guys?
I couldn't find it.
I did not. I was dozing off.
All right, let me go ahead and wrap this one up so we can move on to the next one. As far as our picks go, Wes went with Jacare by 7-2, 4 points. Damon went with Jacare by decision, 10 points. David went with Jacare by decision, 10 points. Jacob went with Jacare by 7-1, 4 points. Marat went with Jacare by 7-2, 4 points. Alex went with Jacare by 7-2, 4 points. And Rich Davie went with Jacare by 7-2, 4 points. Okay, Wes, I'll throw it over to you for the next one if you want to do that one.
Next, we have the Brazilian Eric Silva taking on Takanori Sato, getting the brutal knockout with a crazy combination in the first round. Damon, you have any thoughts on that? You want to share your thoughts?
Pretty
you see
much.
it?
I didn't see it, but pretty much what I called. The win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. He had a loss, was coming off a loss. He got a win.
Rich?
Yeah, not really a whole lot to say about the one, being that it only lasted 52 seconds. And other than my comment on the prediction show where I said that Sato was prone to KOs, that did in fact prove to be true. But
yeah, it seemed like a mismatch to me, but I think it was a calculated mismatch.
Of course.
Eric Silva in Brazil coming off a loss. A young, exciting, promotable fighter. Get him a win, get him some momentum, and yeah, that was a brutal knockout, guys.
Yeah, you actually said that on the prediction show. You said, I predict Silva by KO in round 1 by brutal knockout.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I had in mind.
That was exactly what happened.
Yep.
And I thought maybe it went on a little bit too long because Sato was actually out on his knees and he was taking strikes.
Is that Yamasaki?
Yeah.
Yeah, big surprise. That guy should not be wrecking fights.
Yeah. But it was brutal, man, because it was like, holy shit, stop it, man. The guy's unconscious,
Yeah. I think the position the ref was in was bad because when you see a guy on his knees, if you're not in the right position, it's hard to tell if he's actually out or not. So you got if you're the ref in that situation, you really got to make sure you're in the right position, and I don't think Yamasaki was.
Yeah, he was actually standing up too straight when that occurred to really see what was happening.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not an easy job, but it's the kind of job that it's being a referee in MMA is a thankless job, right? I mean, if you do a good job, great. If you do a bad job, we destroy you. But that's the way it needs to be in that kind of situation. You know what I mean? It's too much at stake.
Yeah. So who do you think he goes up against next, Silva?
Eric Silva? That's a tough call. Welterweight? There's a ton of guys he could fight. I don't think he's not like I saw someone tweeted that he'll be top 15 by Monday. That might be a bit of a stretch at this point in time, but they might give him a top 15 opponent.
What was he ranked before the fight?
Let me see.
Hard to say. They don't have him listed in the top 15 right now on UFC.com, which I guess makes sense. Dong Hyun Kim knockout definitely didn't do him any favors.
Yeah.
But maybe they have him fight a Rick Story, or even a Hector Lombard. Do you think that's too much of it at this point in time?
I don't think Hector Lombard would be a good fight for him if they're looking to get him back on the winning track.
Yeah, that'd be an exciting fight, though.
Yeah, it would be.
He's fought a lot of good fighters. I mean, and lost, but those were his losses. But yeah, he's an exciting guy to watch.
Yeah.
Like I said, he just needs to get some wins put together and get that confidence up. And I think we're going to see a contender eventually.
Yeah, it's just that in the welterweight division, man, 170, it's so deep. Unless they keep signing guys like Sato for him to destroy, there's not going to be any easy fight for him to get back on the winning track.
Yeah. Any more comments before I wrap that one up with the picks and predictions that we made?
Yeah, I hope Sato's okay.
Yeah, he didn't look too with it when they were announcing the results of the fight in the octagon there.
No, he did not.
Okay, Wes went with Silva by KO 1, 10 points. Dana went with Silva by sub and 1, 7 points. David went with silver by 7-2, 4 points. Jacob went with silver by KO and 1, 10 points. Murat went with Sato by 7-2, 0 points. Alex went with silver by KO and 1, 10 points. Rich Davie went with silver by KO and 2, 7 points.
All right. Up next, we had Biscari Andrade versus Nicolas Mousasi. Mousasi getting the unanimous decision nod. And I think that a lot of us got that one wrong, gentlemen.
Yeah, we did. What happened was Andrade screwed up big time in round 1. Brandon didn't see the fight, but what happened was he basically flash knocked out Mousasi and failed to follow through. Put his hands up thinking he had the victory. Big mistake. Might have cost him the fight.
Literally cost him the fight. Yeah, we see that a lot in MMA. Even guys who don't, hold back in that situation. We see that guys, flash knockout. I mean, Frankie Edgar comes to mind, right? Like, what fight with Frankie Edgar did that not happen in?
Yeah.
But yeah,
big lesson learned there for him, because if he would have followed through with that, he would have clearly got the TKO. All he needed to do was land a couple more strikes on the ground, and it would have been called off.
That was actually, I thought, a pretty exciting fight.
Yeah, it was. Turned out to be more exciting than we all thought it would be.
I think both of those guys will be back. Well, I think a lot of the times, American fans look at, no-name international talent on the UFC card, especially on the main card, and we're a little skeptical, about whether or not we want to watch it. But a lot of times, they're some of the most exciting fights you'll watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't know the guys. I don't care. I don't care who they are. If they put on an exciting fight, I'll watch it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, actually, when I scored that one, I scored it the same as the judges, 29-28. I have round 1, 10-9 Andrade, round 2, 10-9 Mousasi, round 3, 10-9 Mousasi, and when we were doing our live commentary in the thread where we were speaking about this, I even said to Damon that despite the near TKO finish in the first round by Andrade, there was no way that the Brazilian judges could have given that one to Andrade.
They're not Brazilian judges. The UFC brings its own judges.
Oh, it does.
They bring the horrible American judges to Brazil, and then Dana White after the fact complains about the judging. The biggest hypocrite ever. Like he brings
their own judges in Brazil.
They bring the Sal Diamatos and the Cecil Peopleses to other countries with them.
But why don't they have their own judges in Brazil? That's odd.
Well, I don't think that Brazil has the kind of athletic commissions that the UFC is used to in the States.
Yeah, I don't think they go by the unified MMA rules.
No. Well, they might. I'm not entirely sure how the law works down there.
Well, then how the hell is it that they always get hometown judging down there in Brazil? Then?
The UFC brings these judges.
Brazilian judges specifically?
Well, I mean, if you ask Shogun, definitely not, because Sal D'Amato and Cecil Peoples were two of those judges that scored that fight with Machida against him.
Yeah, because we always see down there in Brazil, we've got that questionable judging, and it always seems to favor the Brazilians, so that's kind of odd.
Well, maybe they don't want to get killed.
Yeah, exactly.
Last time I checked, Chael Sonnen wasn't a judge down there.
Oh, yeah, speaking about them, I heard he got into a fight down there or something like that, didn't he?
Yeah, a while back. I guess some words were exchanged, and I guess Sonnen actually got sucker punched by somebody in Vanderlei's team and stuff.
Big surprise. This dude, that was. I'm sure that everyone in the UFC executive office had this very situation in mind when they made this coaching matchup for this season.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, let's put Sonnen and Vanderlei against. I mean, I'm sure both of you guys have seen that old video of Vanderlei with that little hat in the car with Sonnen, when like Vanderlei's telling him like, you better respect Brazil, blah 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 blah, and Sonnen's just like, yep,
yeah.
Yep.
And then he went on to mock Brazil and Brazilians.
Yeah, when Vanderlei wasn't in the same, when Vanderlei was not in the same room with him, yeah, he went on to, yeah. But I don't know. Vanderlei's a pretty scary dude even now.
Any other comments on that one?
I'm actually pretty excited to see both of these guys back. Andrade and Mousasi. I'm very excited to see both these guys back. I thought this was a great fight.
Yeah, it turned out to be a lot better than we all thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, Andrade obviously made a mistake in the first round. A mistake we've seen fighters in the past make. what was it? Paul Harris did that to Dan Miller. I think he head kicked him and he thought he had him knocked out, and he actually jumped on the cage like in victory.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the ref was like, "What are you doing, dude? I didn't call the fight." But again, I thought it was a great effort, though. And yeah, I'm definitely excited to see both guys back in the future.
Yeah, I guess sometimes it doesn't pay to be the respectful fighter. I mean, you got to go in there and do your job, and regardless of, unless he was clearly knocked out, laying flat on his back like that other fight that we saw, you got to go in and finish the deal.
Are you talking about the Donald Cerrone knockout from a couple weeks back? Yeah.
Got to follow through.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the fighter's job to decide when the fight's over. It's the ref's job.
Yeah. Okay, let me recap how we did on our predictions there. Wes went with Andrade by decision, 0 points. Daniel went with Andrade by decision, 0 points. David went with Andrade by TKO and 3, 0 points. Jacob Cooper went with Mousasi by sub and 1, 4 points. Marat went with Andrade by sub and 3, 0 points. Alex went with Andrade by decision, 0 points. And Rich Davie went with Andrade by decision, 0 points. So, that big mistake by Andrade paid off for Jacob Cooper.
Yeah, Jacob Cooper hopped on and went 5-0, right?
5-0 for Jacob, man. He did awesome.
Well done.
He only had one 10-point pick, but he got his picks right. But what killed him was he got mostly 4-pointers.
Well, I say next time we sabotage his picks.
Okay, moving on to the first fight on the card, which was the last fight that we predicted. Andy Ogle versus Charles Oliveira. Oliveira won the performance bonus for his triangle choke sub in the third. Any comments on that one, fellas?
Great performance by Charles Oliveira. I mean, a valiant effort by Ogle, but clearly outmatched. He was landing some punches on the feet, but even on the feet, I thought that Oliveira's defense could be better, could definitely be better. But, he looks like he's really learning how to use his range as a fighter. I like the straight punches he throws. He throws some nice front kicks. I'd maybe like to see some more leg kicks from a lanky guy like that. But, yeah, he really looks like he's starting to put stuff together, and obviously his ground game is phenomenal.
Yeah, he should have got the sub in two.
I don't know.
I picked that. That's what I picked.
I think I picked the sub in 2 as well, if I'm not mistaken. But
I actually thought that Ogle did much better than I was expecting. I mean, I had round 1 scored 10-9 Oliveira, and I had round 2
10-9.
scored 10-9
I thought round 1 was a very clear 10-8, actually.
Yeah,
I thought he was dominated.
I saw some people score it that way as well.
I thought he was dominated from start to finish, handily. The second round was definitely closer.
Yeah, I had a 10-9 for Ogle in 2. And I even going into the final round, I actually thought that Ogle was doing pretty good in the third round until Oliveira got that triangle choke.
Yeah, I mean, the vast majority of the fight was just him defending from the back, defending from the top position. I mean, Oliveira was in mount within, 30 seconds?
Yeah.
And he threatened with 2 or 3 submissions in the first round. That's usually why if you're defending against that many submissions, I usually call it a 10-8 round, because it's the same as, in terms of being close to finishing the fight, it should be considered the same as, almost being knocked out, being dropped 2 or 3 times in a round.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be over in round 1. That was pretty damn deep, that one rear naked choke that he had in there that looked like it turned into a neck crank.
Yeah, and that's usually my criteria for saying it's a 10-8 round. Because if you're close like that to finishing the fight more than once, usually I call it a 10-8.
Yeah, but you got to look at the other side too. That if he didn't finish it and the other guy defended it.
Well, yeah, but attacking always goes over defending. I mean, if he finished it, we wouldn't be scoring it at all. The fight would just be over.
Yeah, but again, the rule is if there's no strikes happening, they go to the aggressor on the ground. And like Wes was saying, if there was no striking happening and it was ground work, and the only thing that was happening was submission attempts and defenses,
there's plenty of
attempts count more than the...
But that's why I'm saying I wouldn't give it a 10-8.
Yeah, me too.
No, I think it was definitely a 10-8. I mean, he was hitting with ground strikes as well. He was opening him up with elbows and everything.
I don't know. 10-8, you really got to punish the other guy. I mean...
It looked like he was getting punished to me, man.
I mean, pretty clearly. I mean, 10-8s aren't handed out very much. It's got to be a pretty bad one-sided affair with a lot of damage.
And you guys didn't think that was one-sided, the round 1? Sure Dog, they all called it 10-8. Let's see who else. I would like to have seen the judges' scorecards from there. I'm not sure what they called it. Although judges, I think, don't call 10-8s enough.
Yeah, they should more. I think that would actually help better than the bonus system, is if they start calling those more and let the guys know you got to finish if you wanna win this fight.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's a great point, Damon.
John McCarthy, actually, Big John, he promotes a good system where you go by half points, where somebody could get a 10 and another fighter could get a 9.5.
I actually don't like that system at all.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this on prior shows, and I mean, you're looking at the judges now who can't deal with whole points. Could you imagine them having to deal with a half a point?
Yeah. Let's give these horrible judges an even more confusing thing. And the thing to me is that I don't think there's a problem with the 10-9 system. I mean, we're all having like a sensible, reasonable discussion about a fight, judging it with a 10-9 system. It's the judges themselves that can't freaking look at a fight and make heads or tails of it, that can't use the system, right?
Well, you also got to think too, though. The 10-9 system is you have to pick somebody to get 10 and somebody to get 9.
Well, actually, no, it's not true. You can have 10-10 rounds, and it has happened before. It's just that judges are afraid to score 10-10 rounds because they literally don't get invited back by commissions if they do that.
I pulled up that information there on MMA Junkie. They scored round 1 10-9 and round 2 10-9.
Do they have more than one guy scoring, or is it just one guy doing the play-by-play? I can't find the play-by-play on the MMA Junkie. Where is it?
It's under their play-by-play and live results.
Where is that?
I'm also looking at Sherdog. You are correct, and that's why I guess I don't agree with Sherdog, and you do. All three Sherdog judges scored round 1 10-8 Oliveira, so I guess that's why I don't like Sherdog for the scoring, but you do because we have.
Because they agree with me and disagree with you.
Yeah, we have different criteria for scoring the fight, so they seem to be more in line with you, whereas I prefer MMA Weekly and MMA Junkie. I seem to agree with judging more.
I don't think the judges agreed with them either.
No, they didn't. I don't think so.
Some of the guys on Sherdog actually agree with you guys, though, about the Carmont fight. They gave Carmont the second round of that Souza fight, which I don't agree with, but So, I mean, Andy Ogle.
I don't think he loses any stock in that. He actually did better than I think most people were expecting him to do because everybody was writing him off totally.
I mean, it was mostly a write-off performance. I didn't see much. I mean, other than the fact that he did not get finished until the third round, I don't see there's much he can take away from this fight as a positive.
I actually thought he looked pretty good. I mean, from what I was expecting anyway.
I mean, he landed like a handful of punches, I guess, but, I mean, for every punch he landed, Oliveira landed one and then some. Yeah. And, he got completely destroyed on the ground. There's, like, no, I mean, he defended well, and I think, he was on top for, like, 2 seconds a couple times. But not enough for me to say, like, oh, man, he's, he had something going on there. I mean, I'm not saying he's I'm not writing him off as a fighter completely. I'm just saying, he's going to need to come back strong in his next fight.
Yeah, he's got 2 losses in a row now, so.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
He's got the lucky I'm a British fighter thing going for him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, Oliveira had that lucky I'm a Brazilian fighter going on for a little while. But, if you can't beat I mean, don't get me wrong, Oliveira's no slouch, but, I mean, he's not top tier either, really. I mean, like maybe tier 2.
His losses are 2 top tier guys, though.
No, you're absolutely right, but I mean, he's the kind of guy that you need to be able to get past if you're we're going to consider you a top featherweight fighter.
Yeah.
And I mean, featherweight's not even that. I still don't think to this day that featherweight is even really that good of a division yet. It's still a young, developing division.
Well, let me just recap.
Seem to be developing now.
Yeah, definitely, but it's like featherweight still seems like it's a lot of guys that can't hang at 155, so they drop weight down to 145. Yeah. It still seems like a lot of guys are doing that.
Well, any more comments on this fight before we move on, guys?
Yeah, go ahead and move on.
Okay, let me recap here. West went with Oliveira by 7-2, 7 points. Damon, Oliveira by 7-2, 7 points. David, Oliveira by 7-3, 10 points. Jacob, Oliveira by decision, 4 points. Marat, Oliveira by 7-3, which on the original show he had gone with 2, but when we redid the show because we had YouTube issues, he changed it to 7-3, so he got 10 points for that. Alex went with Oliveira by 7-2-7, and Rich Davie Oliveira by 7-2-7.
It just goes to show, man. There's the sort of borderline cliche that guys are sweating in the third round, so the submissions are harder to get. But when it comes to chokes, it's almost the opposite. Maybe not so much with the triangle choke, but if you're talking about guillotines, you're talking about rear naked chokes. And your head's really sweaty, the arm will slip right down.
Yeah, when you're using your arms to try to secure a submission, I'd see where that could play into effect.
Yeah, but man, he locked that triangle up very quickly. That was a great submission. It was very impressive. That thing was tight, airtight within half a second.
Okay, I know that Damon did not see the main event there, the main card. But Wes, how did you rate this one on a scale of 1 to
10? 6, maybe.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Not to say it was bad, but there's been great UFC events, and that was, I wouldn't call that a great UFC event.
Yeah, I wasn't really excited about this one. Usually the Brazil cards are more exciting, but this one was not.
And I'm kind of strict, so anything above a 5 for me is, I think, pretty good. So,
Didn't that break the record for the longest event?
Did it? I don't know, maybe that's why I fell asleep.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it did or not, but it had to be close to it with 10 decisions.
Yeah, with the 5-round main event being a decision as well.
Well, I don't know if the broadcast had anything to do with it, but man, it said it was going to be on at 10:15. The freaking NASCAR race was on until 10:40 almost. I was like, come on, are you serious?
Yeah, I know. What the hell was that? I tune in. I'm like, who the hell wants to watch this shit?
No one wants to watch that. Come on. You said you're going to start at 10:15. Get this crap off the air.
I used to watch that shit when I was 15 years old just to watch the wrecks, but...
Apparently there was an 8-car wreck on it last night, which I missed, unfortunately.
I'm just not into it anymore. I loved it when I was a kid, but back when I was a kid...
I've never been into NASCAR. Damon, you like NASCAR?
I'm kind of like the way Jeff Dunham, I think it was, says it. Oh, look, another left turn!
Yeah!
Oh, no, here they are coming out of the third corner. Oh, it's another left turn.
Nah, I'm not a NASCAR fan. I've got family that is diehard NASCAR, and I give them shit all the time about it.
I feel like it's a regional thing. In the South and maybe the Midwest, there's a lot of fans.
Yeah, Midwest there are a lot of fans, and down South there are a lot of fans.
There's actually a lot of fans from my area of New Jersey. I come from a sort of I don't want to say backwoods, but pretty much.
You guys know how race car driving came to be, right?
Like racing cars?
No, it was the bootleggers back in...
Oh, yep. I've heard that before, actually.
That's actually bootleggers back in the old days making hot rods to evade the police.
That's kind of cool. I kind of like that, actually. That's cool.
That's why it was such a southern thing, and then I guess a lot of southerners moved to the Midwest and things like that. So
they should bring it back to that. They should actually have them loaded up with illegal booze and have them actually try to get away from the cops. That would be so much.
I just love that it's a driving thing, and they've got all alcohol sponsors and shit.
It's so true, dude. It's so true.
It's perfect.
Dude, and I was actually watching last night. I had it on mute because I'm not trying to watch it. I'm waiting for the fights to come on, and they're talking to the guy. I guess who won? I don't know anything. But he had the Jordan logo on his shoulder. I'm like, are you kidding me? Jordan sponsors this guy? A race car?
Don't they have Viagra and all these other drugs that make your other performance in bed?
No, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, high performance motor.
I'm pretty sure Cialis is one. Is sponsor.
They need to change the logo then from the 2 people in the bathtub to 2 people freaking in 2 different cars holding hands.
And now is the time to say goodbye if you want to say goodbye, fellas. So thanks for showing up. Appreciate it. And bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
Have a good one, guys. I'll talk to you all later.
Later.
All right. Bye-bye.